Well, Cody, it is decommitment season, but could it be flip season as well? We're going to find out here along the lines of scrimmage for the Texas Longhorns with a new visitor that is being reported by Jason Sukamel to be on campus for the Arkansas game. Also, I kind of wanted to talk about all the Dylan Barryman, the Barryman stuff about his recent decommitment from Texas. Of course, the 2026 defensive lineman, part of what was that really impressive four-man interior defensive line class. First, we want to thank our great sponsor, the Man Eye Institute. Make sure and give them a phone call today, 1-844-WOW-2020, 844-WOW-2020. The Man Eye Institute is where you can see life better, whether it's for your LASIK, the next level LASIK that they have there, for your cataracts, whatever it is for your vision needs. Please remember to always call the Man Eye Institute first. They're the reason that we do this. They're the reason that we're able to do this show. They are the presenting sponsor. So thanks to the Man Eye Institute. Give them a phone call today for all of your vision needs. 1-844-WOW-2020, or find them online. Just type it in on Google. It'll be the first thing that pops up. See life better at the Man Eye Institute. All right, Cody, let's get to it. First, before we talk about Bristen Martinez, I wanted to ask you what's your general thoughts about the Dylan Barryman decommitment, what it meant, what it means. Are they going to go after? Does it mean they're going after somebody in the transfer portal? Is 3 enough to keep here in this one? And you reminded me that I did have some notes on him and some evaluation notes from a SEC director of recruiting that was in the war room back in June.
Yeah.
I find pretty interesting here that people could maybe kind of take a little bit of stock in that this is a guy who, he had offered him, but there were some worries that he had about Barryman as far as his profile. But just overall, your thoughts about Texas losing out on Barryman.
Well, I think it's big on the surface, but I think as far as the overall class goes, he's 6'1" and a half, 330 pounds, out of Monroe, Louisiana, a defensive tackle that we liked and we talked about a lot on the show this summer, and a guy that doesn't maybe have the super top end offer. His sheet isn't, when you pull it up, it's not all the blue bloods. It's Houston's mixed in there, Purdue's mixed in there, Carolina's mixed in there, but Texas and LSU are there as well. The two local big timers, obviously, to where he lives. I like Barryman, but the one thing I would say is when you look at this class, it's felt like the last 3 months that, James Johnson has been getting pursued, the big defensive lineman that is committed to Texas. He's been getting pursued by Miami heavily, right? And that was the thing that came down between him, Miami, Georgia, and Texas. Corey Wells, Mississippi State, Mississippi, another defensive tackle that's committed to Texas. Vodney Cleveland, Florida was kind of in that thing while Billy Napier was there. But Barryman, I guess the writing, you could say, sort of was on the wall, I guess, the beginning. Remember how, like, when that thing came down to the commitment that he made to Texas, it was like the week before, I think he had told Jason, like, I'm leaning Purdue or something along those lines. And Purdue, for some reason, just had this itch to him. He decommits, and within 12 hours, he said, it's his birthday, I think yesterday, when he did decommit, and he made a post about, it said exactly this: I'm more than blessed to start another stage in life. He hasn't committed to Purdue, but it was a picture of Purdue, of him in a Purdue jersey saying happy birthday from the Boilermakers or something along these lines. And I don't know, it's kind of one of those things, like, I expected all 4 of these defensive tackles to make it through the season, stay committed to Texas, might be a reach. Just seeing what they did in the transfer portal this year, and Justice Terry's in that room, and Lance Jackson projects to potentially be in that room in a couple of years. I think it would be a big ask.
I'm looking at it, and I think that they certainly could use them, but I think you're right about the numbers kind of being there between the freshmen on the current roster and the freshmen on the current roster, the redshirt freshmen. There are numbers, especially when you consider that, I'm just thinking about, like, Murad Watson, Alex January, and Levon Johnson are all sophomores. So if you get 3 in this class, maybe bring in a transfer portal guy, I don't think it's necessarily look, I'm more worried about the offensive line numbers than I am about the defensive line numbers. And if Texas were going to lose out on one of these guys, this is what these were the actual scouting notes from inside the actual docket that this SEC scouting director had for me on Dylan Barryman from back in June. So in his sophomore evaluation, he says short, wide body with average length, wide, sturdy lower half, good thickness throughout, as a true nose, limited growth potential, but good size frame at already 300 plus pounds. Heavy mover, rigid getting out of stance, poor change of direction and foot quicks, very good play strength, plays with power and creates knockback in the run game. Projects as a one-dimensional, functional backup nose with adequate base down / run stopping skill set, monitor athletic ability / movement skill on junior tape. So when the junior eval came in, this is what it said: adequate height at nose, but wide and powerful, squatty
Okay.
build, but he's maxed out. He lacks growth potential. Limited lateral range, explosive power to play through blockers and reset the line of scrimmage. Projects as a good backup nose tackle with the ability to stuff the run. I question the upside and the ceiling. Would not want as a starter. Grade C plus. So that's obviously not the best eval on Barryman. So I asked
Yeah.
him if he still feels the same or if he's actually come around on him a little more since doing his write up. And he said that, you know, I think that maybe I would upgrade it to, from a C plus to maybe a B minus, to think that he could, after getting to be around him, after getting him on his campus, interacting with him a little bit more. He said that I'm still not sure, but he said I'm still a B minus for me is like a fringe starter, right? It's not somebody that you want to recruit and say that this guy is we're planning on this dude coming in and being an immediate contributor within his first 2 seasons at a school, at a big SEC school. So yeah, I mean, I know it sounds like sour grapes. It's not. It's not sour grapes. It's just kind of. It feels like people are really freaked out about it. I'm not sure that it's a super major freak out kind of situation here for this one. I think that the numbers are going to be fine. I think they're probably going to. Do they need to find one in the portal?
I think you know what? Honestly, man, I at the current stage, I think Hero Canoe, just because of his lack in size, I think that there's the idea would be. I mean, he's a redshirt junior. He could go pro, but I think that like the idea that Hero Canoe can be back next year, and Murad Watson and Alex January will be back next year, and Levon Johnson's there as well. Plus, you have Justice Terry, who's starting to get more and more reps. You have Sharma, you have Charles, and then you have this 3-man classic. That's actually it's pretty kind of deep, and like from a year ago, you're still going to see Shaw and Brevard out the door. But the idea that Canoe, who I think is the best defensive tackle in the team right now, and then Murad Watson in January are both going to be back, both key contributors
You
this
think
year.
Canu's better than Watson?
I think he's been the best so far this year.
It wouldn't be the craziest thing to say.
Yeah, I think he's been the best this year. I think that's big. I mean, but else did you bring her up, right? I said Canoe's going to stay and he's the best. You said better than Watson. They're both going to be back. So the
Right,
best 2D tackles are going to be back.
right.
And
I mean,
January was one
dude,
of the starters.
January's looked like one. I mean, January's looked good too recently. So
So I mean, like, I'll be honest with you, Alex. Like, if you were to say, like, you know, one more of these guys is going to decommit, I'd say, dang. But I'd say they'll probably be okay.
what about so Bristen Martinez? He's going to be here. So switching sides of the line of scrimmage. There's been a bunch of rumors and innuendo about Max Wright and all the flirting that he's been doing recently with SMU. Jason Sukamel at Orange Bloods is a little bit worried about all this, and Jason's not. Whenever Jason starts to worry and say that, hey man, this is a real thing with SMU that's going on now. Um, Texas needs to get on it if they want to keep him. Um, I don't know if this Bristen Martinez thing has it all to do with that. It would, uh, to me, it would seem to make sense. He is currently committed to LSU, and we know that they're going through, they're going through a coaching change right now. He's from East Ascension High School in Gonzales, Louisiana. It looks like Rivals has him right now with the industry ranking as a 4-star. Dude's got offers from everybody. I mean, he's got offers from Georgia, Oregon, A&M, Tennessee, Florida, Oklahoma, Penn State. Just a ton of different teams. Super, one of these kind of long armed, long levered, high cut offensive tackles. It seems to move pretty well. He's got to be 6 foot. I mean, what, 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
He lists himself on his huddle as an offensive tackle / tight end. Of course, he's not going to be playing any tight end. I think he moves well enough. I haven't watched enough of his huddle to really have a complete breakdown on him, but it seems like he moves well enough, can move people. Only 290 pounds right now is what he's listed as. And Rivals actually has him listed as 6'5.5", which surprises me a little bit because he seems to, maybe he plays a little high because like whenever I watch him play, it seems to me like that looks more like a guy that's 6'6", 6'7".
6'7". Your kids do that 6'7".
Yeah, thank goodness.
You walked right into that one.
Thank goodness my son's not around.
My write up on Bristen, I like Bristen a little bit more than Max Wright. I think the trajectory or the roller coaster of the Max Wright recruitment's been interesting because I think at one point he was an extremely undervalued prospect, and he's massive, right? There's no questioning. He's 6'8", 305, massive feet, comes from Melissa High School up there in the Dallas area, which is where Trevor Goosby's from. I think there's potential here, and I think there's a lot of upside maybe in year 3. The thing I think about with Bristen Martinez, I think he's a little more polished, a little more physically mature. When I did his write-up, I had him as 2.5 points more physically mature than Max Wright as far as like being ready to play. And when I say that, that's on a scale of 0 to 10. So I had Max Wright as like a 5'3" and Bristen as a 7'6". I think that his feet just keep moving on downfield. Well, he's driving defenders kind of off the freeway, good length, plays with a higher pad level than you probably like.
I was going to ask about the pad level. That was, I mean, yeah.
I think it causes overextension. The pass pro is kind of what I wrote down. I think he's a large human, just like Max Wright. I think he's a little more athletic though, in the natural athleticism. I think he's got better feet than Max Wright does today. And his best traits I wrote down was just size, length, and run blocking, which I think are things that can translate. And the versatility, I think he's got much more versatility for this offensive line, playing with the ability to potentially play both sides like Trevor Goosby's done, or play inside the guard.
You would play him at guard?
I think he's got the potential and the athleticism to move inside or outside or left and right is what I'm saying.
He looks, to me,
he's light, but I'm saying like I think the potential is there.
Yeah, he looks more like a right. He looks more like a right tackle to me, Cody. I think I'm not.
No, I know. I'm not saying I'm projecting to his guard. I'm saying I think he's got more athleticism and projectability to be able to like just move around and be, like you saw with Stroh, right? Stroh's a massive human, but they've moved him from right to left to center to right and moving him around. I think that this guy is one that you could play a right tackle.
I guess that's true. I mean,
I think Goosby's a better right tackle than he is a left tackle, right? But like they need him at left. He's the best offensive lineman. So that's just I don't know. That's just kind of how I look at it. But I think Bristen's a guy that can be versatile and utilized in this offensive line in a great way.
You think Texas is going to get him?
I would lean towards yes. I think that the coaching change down there matters. I know it's going to, it's taking a kid out of Louisiana, but Texas has done it last year. They've been able to flip from Louisiana. It's happened. And if they lose Max Wright, which that writing kind of feels like it's on the wall through whispers and stuff. And it happened with Barryman. If it happens with Wright, I think you got to throw a couple more chips towards Bristen Martinez and get that athletic big body up here.
Throwing a couple of chips at him, you're gonna have to throw more than that. I mean, what kind of cash you think what kind of cash do you think you're gonna have to offer a guy like Bristen Martinez?
I think he's a 400 guy. I don't think he's anywhere in like the high 6 figures, but I think he's probably around that 350 to 400 type of a player.
So if we're just looking at all of this from a 10,000 foot view, just with everything, with Barryman now being out, the stuff with Max Wright, flirting with SMU, Bristen Martinez coming onto the radar. On the whole, is it freak out worthy? Because people are freaking out.
No, I think Texas is in a great spot, and I think that there's other notes in that Truth and Lies column that Catch made this week. And I think they all angle toward the fact that Texas will not overspend for average or mediocrity, and the levels of recruitment have taken another step forward to saying like, oh, that guy's a take. Whatever he was a take 2 years ago, that guy's not a take this year, and they're going to be pushing more towards the portal, and that's going to be where that cash is going to go because they've found success doing it.